Okay, we're looking at a pace conveyor. Notice that we have some extruded tubing here. This allows you to raise or lower the height of the conveyor. You would remove these bolts here, nuts and bolts. It's probably a 3-person job because you need to remove these, and lower or raise it to the height you're looking for and put the bolts back in. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to hook up the pneumatics and electrical on the conveyor. You have an air line. You have a Euro style electrical connector here. On the right hand side of your machine you should have a switch and 2 connectors that look like that. Air, pretty simple, just push it straight in. To release it you want to push on the outer ring and pull. And the electrical connection is keyed, put it in there. Tighten it up and then turn the conveyor air supply on. Notice if you turn it on with this not plugged in, you will be shooting air out of that fitting. This is the speed control for the conveyor. You turn it off and on with the toggle switch. Select your speed here. Pretty simple. Another feature of the conveyor may or may not be needed is these guide wheels that we include. This is to help guide material coming out of the pace machine onto the conveyor, maybe hold it down, put this into position, tighten it up. Obviously, you can move it wherever you may need it and move these around. May not be needed, but sometimes you find that might help. One other thing, standard 120 volts for the DC drive on the conveyor. We're going to give an example of how this machine batches and what the batch does. Notice we have this piece of tape on the top of the conveyor. See that it's moving. Every time it gets a batch, take a little index forward. Used for creating a separation in the stacking or shingling of your parts. Okay, here we're looking at pace takeoff unit. The takeoff unit mounts with these mounts here. There's one on each side. These 2 holes are used on this side. This is the inboard side. Notice the inboard side because of the gears here. I'm going to remove this cover to make installation a little easier. There's a screw on the top here. And there are 2 on the bottom in here. So that cover is covering up this belt. This is your outboard mount right here. Note that this front section pivots, and that's to clear jams, if a jam is to occur between your top and lower belts. I'm also going to remove this blade here. We call this the slide plate. After we install it into the machine, we'll put the slide plate back on, but it aids in installation having that off. You can leave these 2 screws started. Let's walk over to this pace fabricator we have here. This station here, which is the 9 o'clock or exit station, is where the takeoff unit mounts to these 4 holes. Okay, so to install, we're going to put it into this slot. And push it into position. And we can install the bolts. One goes there. I like to usually get one started and then can let go. The other two are on this side, inboard side. This is the slide plate used for the takeoff unit. Notice that on the side with the slots used for mounting, there's this bevel. This bevel goes down. This bevel is a clearance for the upper or lower belts that is on the takeoff unit. Let's see the installation. So that bevel I was pointing out is basically to clear these belts. And to install it, bevel down, slide it in here, and tighten up the screws. Certain converting jobs may not require the use of this slide plate. It's to assist small parts after they've been die cut here on the anvil to make their way over and into the takeoff unit. Okay, you'll want to check for gear mesh here. Kind of hard to show you on the camera here, but let's move around to the back of the machine and see if we can fit it. So we're looking for a gear mesh between the 75 tooth gear here and the anvil gear right in this area here. Just be sure that you have a decent mesh before you decide to start it up. Okay, now we want to be sure to replace the belt cover. And simply line up your fasteners and tighten them up. Again, one on the top, two down here, and that should be about it. Okay, note that after pivoting this section, when you put it down, your belts might be all crooked and out of alignment, but simply running it should bring them back into being straight. And wanted to also add a note about there's a hole here in the back of the cover, and that's for a nice long T-handle wrench like this. You can insert it into the hole, and you can get to this mounting hole that's on the top outboard side without having to remove the cover. And if you have one of these long Allen wrenches, you'll be able to install the takeoff unit and remove the takeoff unit without taking off the belt cover, which could make the installation time a lot shorter.